Red Bull's announcement they'd be making their own powertrains in the future in response to Honda leaving the sport was a shocking development from a company that only actually makes 2 cars a year and not a single engine. Building an engine is no easy feat, especially one of the quality used in Formula 1, so Red Bull have been looking for every possible advantage they could find in preparation for 2026, when the engine regulations change. Unfortunately, Ferrari and Mercedes have managed to get in the way of the biggest advantage they could gain. Want to know how Red Bull's biggest rivals have ruined their engine development plans? Then stick around for the rest of the video. The first thing to realize here is just how massive a task this will be for Red Bull. Fortunately, Christian Horner is acutely aware of the massive challenge awaiting Red Bull in 2026. Powered by Renault, Ferrari and Honda engines, Red Bull went toe-to-toe with F1's established work teams as a customer for almost 2 decades. That changed for 2022 when the brand new Red Bull Powertrains division got to work at the team's Milton Keynes factory. After Max Verstappen won the 2021 title with Honda horsepower, the RB18 and AlphaTauri's AT03 were the first cars fitted with the Red Bull branded engines. Behind the branding though, Honda's influence remained. The Japanese manufacturer assembled and developed the 2022 championship-winning power units and will continue to do so until the end of 2025. Until 2026, Red Bull cars may be down as powered by Red Bull powertrains in the record books, but it's definitely a Honda engine. The team's engines will be badged Red Bull Ford from 2026 in a partnership with the American manufacturer announced by Horner & Co. at the team's New York livery launch this month. It's another massive investment into Formula 1 by Red Bull, who are again trusting Horner to make a success of this latest scheme. The Brit is the paddock's longest-serving team principal and is showing no signs of stepping away. I think what's next is to keep delivering, to keep developing the team and the business here, Horner told Motorsport magazine. And I think the next massive challenge for us is the powertrains. I mean, we've got a startup engine company taking on Ferrari, Mercedes, Alpine, VW Group, so that is a massive challenge. One of the biggest advantages that Red Bull could have got to help them with this huge challenge was the bonus given to new power unit suppliers. If you count as a new manufacturer, then you get bonus testing time as well as a much higher budget cap. More money and testing time is given to help new manufacturers play catch up with the teams that have been building engines for years already. Red Bull have been picking off the best of the best at Mercedes for over a year now, as the Silver Arrow's staff base starts to shrink due to cost cuts, so they have plenty of experience on the team already. That doesn't translate to the team being successful though, and more money and more testing time would have helped. Ferrari and Mercedes were not happy with Red Bull getting that time though. As far as they were concerned, Red Bull had all the information they could ever want courtesy of Honda. After all, the two had worked very closely together for many years, and during that time, Honda had been solely supplying Red Bull. In December of 2022, Ferrari was excluded from a 2026 Engine Advisory Committee meeting because they had refused to sign up for the new regulations in protest over Red Bull being awarded new manufacturer status. If they would have held firm in their protest and Red Bull had been given the advantageous status, it would have been interesting to see if they followed through and actually withdrew as an engine manufacturer in 2026. That would have been absolutely wild. Italian publication La Gazzetta dello Sport has been reporting that Ferrari president John Elkann and CEO Benedetto Vigna led the campaign and are said to have asserted the political weight of the prancing horse. Before we continue, you should know that La Gazzetta dello Sport is an Italian propaganda machine for Ferrari, and everything they say should be taken with a huge pinch of salt. In reality, it's a joint effort by Audi, Mercedes and Ferrari that seems to have thwarted Red Bull's attempt. The teams argue to the FIA that despite Red Bull powertrains only coming into existence in 2022, they had plenty of expertise and knowledge already that put them a step ahead of an entirely new entity. The aggravated parties cited the arrival of high-profile signings, such as former Mercedes head of mechanical engineering Ben Hodgkinson, as well as 5 other engineers from the Silver Arrow's Brickworth factory. It will be interesting to see if Audi have their new manufacturer status removed when they inevitably take staff members from Mercedes as well, but that's for a different day. As Christian Horner said at the RB19 launch, "We've got 150 weeks left before we have an engine driving out of a pit lane for the first time in the back of a Red Bull car. So that focuses the mind. It's a big challenge. It's a ballsy undertaking to think that an independent team can take on those types of manufacturers. Whether they get their extra budget and time or not, Red Bull have taken the plunge now and decided to go without Honda. They have to focus on creating an incredible engine no matter what else is going on. Of course, they won't be doing it alone. Fresh from confirmation of their upcoming return to F1, Ford have revealed that they're doing so through a long-term strategic technical partnership with Red Bull Powertrains, ahead of the sport's new engine regulations coming into play. Having powered 10 Constructors' Championships and 13 Drivers' Championships over the years, they'll be looking to add to that number from 2026. Starting in 2023, Ford and Red Bull Powertrains will develop a next-gen power unit to supply both Red Bull Racing and the sister AlphaTauri operation from 2026 until at least 2030. Based around the current turbocharged 1.6-litre power unit, F1's future engine regulations will feature increased electrical power and 100% sustainable fuels, while also improving safety and lowering costs for manufacturers. A giant of both the motorsport world and the automotive industry, Ford is set to provide expertise in several areas of development, including battery cell and electric motor technology, as well as power unit control software and analytics. This is the start of a thrilling new chapter in Ford's motorsport story that began when my great-grandfather, Henry Ford, won a race that helped launch our company, said Bill Ford, executive chairman of the Ford Motor Company. Ford, alongside world champions Oracle Red Bull Racing, is returning to the pinnacle of the sport, bringing Ford's long tradition of innovation, sustainability, and electrification to one of the world's most visible stages. We know that Ford gets a lot of hate for building unreliable cars, but they won't have anything to do with the car itself, or even the combustion engine. They'll only be building the electronics for the engine. Obviously, they are thinking about their future in the automotive world and the electrification of vehicles. All of this does leave Honda in the lurch, though. Despite announcing they were leaving the sport just a few years ago, they have been sat at the table discussing the 2026 regs, and with a change of management, now seem keen to rejoin the sport. But where do they go now that Red Bull and AlphaTauri won't be needing their services? Apparently, initial contact has been made between McLaren and Honda over a possible Formula One reunion, as both explore their options for the 2026 engine rules. McLaren and Honda worked together at the start of the V6 turbo hybrid era from 2015 to 2017, ending their arrangement prematurely because of poor engine performance and reliability that led to increased tensions. Honda switched to supplying the Red Bull teams instead, and after making significant progress, powered Red Bull and Max Verstappen to consecutive titles in 2021 and 2022. Any conversations over a 2026 McLaren-Honda reunion are believed to be in an extremely early phase, as Honda weighs up committing to being an engine supplier under the new regulations, and who it may partner with, and McLaren considers whether to continue as a Mercedes customer beyond 2025 or pursue a new supplier. At the back of McLaren's mind will be the fact that Mercedes' high-performance powertrains is bleeding highly skilled and experienced staff, who helped make the engine that made Mercedes so successful from 2014 to 2021. After remaining close to discussions about the 2026 rules, Honda formally registered its interest in them with the FIA at the end of last year. It is now one of 6 manufacturers that the FIA has gone as far as declaring will participate as a supplier from 2026 to 2030, along with Red Bull, Ford, Audi, Mercedes, Ferrari, and Alpine. If McLaren did partner with Honda, and they were the only team to partner with Honda, then that could be a big advantage to them. They would have a huge amount of influence over what happened at Honda as the only customer. It could be what McLaren needs to make it back to the front of the grid. Do you think Red Bull should be allowed the extra time and budget as a new engine supplier? Or have the other manufacturers done the right thing trying to get that status blocked? Let us know your opinion in the comments, and on your way down, don't forget to subscribe in preparation for the 2023 season. Until next time, drive safe and bye for now.